The first thing we need to do to start working with MongoEngine is tell MongoEngine how to speak to MongoDB. Let's go back to our Snake BNB app we've been working on, and we're going to go in here to this data section, and we're going to create a new Python file called Mongo Setup. So in here, we're going to write a simple method that we can call from other places. And as you'll see in the slides that we look at later, for real applications that use proper connections, encryption, accounts, things like that, this can be a little more complicated, but it's going to start out pretty simple. So we'll say global init. And in here, we just want to call one function. So we're going to have MongoEngine here. So we're going to import MongoEngine, and we just say MongoEngine.register connection. And the first thing that we pass is an alias. So I'll be real explicit and say alias equals core. Now, what is this alias thing about? We can have multiple connections to even multiple databases or even multiple database servers registered here. So we could have like a core data and say analytics for just analytics that goes to a separate database that maybe has tons more data because it's like page views and actions and so on. But we might keep that separate so we can back it up on a separate schedule, something like that. And then we need to set the name of the database, and we'll set that to Snake BNB. Do a quick format here, and it's all good to go. Like I said, this gets more interesting in real connections, but we're going to need to call this to talk to MongoDB. So let's go over to our little program, and you saw up here at the top, there was this to do setup MongoEngine global values. And that was basically what we were doing there. So we need to come over here and say, we need to go to data.mongoSetup, as we'll just call it Mongo Setup. And this should be pretty simple, MongoSetup.global init. Now we just need to make sure we call this once in our application, and we need to do this before we actually interact with anything else. So let's go and apply these settings over to our entities as well. So we'll look at snakes first. Now, this model is going to be mapped into one or more of those databases. Well, one among many potential databases. So the way that we can tell it how to work, MongoEngine will use a property we can add to it. We can say meta equals, and we give it a dictionary, and we can say db_alias, and we'll say core here, okay? While we're at it, let's say collection is snakes. So even though we called it capital S snake, the thing in the database where these records, these documents are stored will be called snakes, plural, lowercase. And here we can tell it this goes into the core database, unlike maybe the analytics one or something like, right? We're only going to have one in here, but for our example, you want to have this here. So in case you want to add more later, right? I'll go ahead and add the rest of these to owners and cages, but not bookings, because bookings is going to be nested inside here. All right, so we don't need to tell that how it gets stored because it's stored alongside cage, which we'll say cages, and no surprise, owners. All right, so those are our three top-level entities that map to our three top-level collections in MongoDB. Now we've registered the connection by using our Mongo Setup Global, which we just call register connection. Like I said, this can get way more complicated in reality. And then we just go and we set this meta to use the core connection as well as naming the actual table or collection it's going to go to.